Hi, this is Caroline van Kimmenade from The Happy Sensitive, and this is a video for empaths. For empaths who are struggling with stuff they're picking up from their environment, and you know you're an empath and you want to know, what do I do now? What are some of the things I can start doing to take care of myself and to start changing the situation? I've been getting a lot of questions lately from empaths who are really stuck in difficult situations, and unfortunately, I don't have a simple solution for you, because that's what a lot of people ask me. They're like, okay, I'm an empath. I know I really pick up a lot of stuff from my environment. I get really affected by the emotions around me, and I just want to get some simple tips from you. I just want to get some simple instructions on what I can do to change this. And I have to tell you, there are no simple instructions. One of the basic things you need to know about being an empath, it's real. And I know that theoretically you know this, but I also know that we live in a world in which energy stuff is considered to be woo-woo and exaggerated and not really existing. So there's probably a part of you that knows, okay, this is real, and then there's another part of you, potentially even bigger part of you, that's decided, okay, I'm just kind of making this up, maybe I'm a little bit crazy, I just need to find a simple way to deal with this. It's just something in my head that I have to get to switch around somehow, and I should be able to get over this really easily. And none of those things are true. It's not something you get over easily, it's not something you can just think away, and it's not something you can just turn off. So the first thing to really take care of yourself as an empath is to acknowledge that this is a big part of your life, and this is not something you can simply change, and that even though I can teach you skills to be a skilled empath, because there's a big difference between being this person who just soaks up everything from their environment, and then doesn't know even that they're doing it, or if they do know they're doing it, they're carrying it around all the time. That's when you're really suffering as an empath, and that can be changed. However, the skills you need to change that are going to take practice. And even though it's possible to learn the basic skills in a few months, it's going to take a few years before you get really skilled with those skills and before you're able to really apply them in the moment within a few seconds, right? So initially, your empath skills, your ability to disengage and disconnect from other people's stuff, is going to be like a separate exercise that you do at home when you're by yourself and you've got time and it's quiet, it's peaceful, and you can really focus. And that's how it starts, and that's how you start practicing. And then the more you practice, the more you practice, the more you practice, at some point, you will be able to do this in a moment. And first of all, the skills I'm talking about here, it's not something I can just give you in a video or in an article. It really takes practice, and it also takes one-on-one guidance. Okay, so if you're interested in that, then that's great. But I want you to know it's not something you can just learn in like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and then have it be over with. So the first thing you need to do, if you're in a difficult situation as an empath, is really acknowledge, like, I'm an empath and I'm taking up a lot of stuff in my environment, and even if I get really skilled, it's still going to take many years before I get really skilled at dealing with this. So I have to be realistic here. This environment is not working for me. And I know when you're looking at this, you're probably thinking, oh, but I would really love to stay where I am and just be able to handle it. I can tell you, even if you're a skilled empath, you still have to stay away from negative environments, places that are really draining, places that have a lot of suffering people that are very scared or angry, because even if you can disengage from those emotions, you're still going to be affected by them, and you're still going to have to take action to do something to disengage. So it's kind of like you've got a leak in the roof, and there's water coming in, and initially it just kind of drops, it just spills all over the floor, you don't know what to do about it, you get really panicky, and then somebody comes along and they show you how to catch the water in a bucket and how to take it outside and throw it into the garden so it doesn't run down the stairs. And so you have a system to make sure that that water doesn't come into your house, where it drips into your house, but you catch it and then you remove it really quickly. That's a little bit what it's like when you're skilled as an empath. You've still got the energy coming in, you know, less, because some of it will automatically kind of stay away, because you're kind of subconsciously, you get really skilled at, you know, separating out your energy from other people's energy. But there's still going to be an effort. There's still going to be that action that you have to take of catching the water, noticing that there's water coming in, you know, catching it in a bucket and then, you know, throwing it outside into the garden. That's still something you're going to have to do. So if you're in an environment where there's loads of water coming through the roof from all these different people, even if you know how to do it, you're still going to be like carrying buckets around all day. So it's not going to be a good place for you to be in, right? You don't want to be in a job where you have to spend your whole day just kind of sorting out all the energies. Even if you're really skilled, even if it only takes like, I don't know, 10 minutes out of every hour, that's still 10 minutes of every hour that you're spending just with your energy stuff, right? It's not good. And so another metaphor I want to give you here is that, you know, we live in a society that's very specialized, and a lot of empaths that reach out for help that I know of are stuck in a work environment that is somehow very negative, or, you know, they're dealing with people who are very sick or who need a lot of help and care. And what I want to say about that is we've come to see that as a normal thing. That is normal for some people to take care of all the sick people and take care of all the dying people and take care of all the hurting people and other people that have other jobs, right? But I think as a human being, none of us are built to take on that much of a huge load necessarily. And I know there's some people who are very good, you know, at doing this kind of work, and they're definitely, you know, skilled at this, and they don't go home feeling overwhelmed. But I'm saying this for the empaths, because we empaths, we often feel drawn to work in helping other people, and we are good at it, you know, one-on-one, but we also are very vulnerable to this kind of work. And so for us, it's very important to keep in mind, let's say, the old traditional village model, where you had one doctor in the village, or maybe one doctor for 5 villages or something like that. And that doctor would be dealing with everybody in the village, whether they had, like, you know, a serious ailment or not so serious. And sometimes if it needed special care, they would send that person, you know, further away to a specialist, or, you know, another doctor somewhere else who was really good at that particular issue. But as a doctor, you did not have, like, you know, all the dying people on your doorstep every day, because you lived in a kind of standard village where some people, you know, would be dying at some point, but there would also be lots of other stuff. So your job would be more balanced. You know, you would have simple cuts and bruises to attend to. You would have just, I don't know, maybe somebody who tripped and who needed to have a bandaged knee or something. Just, you know, simple things. And then you'd have some of the dramatic things as well. And so that's a lot more like how it is in our own personal life, where we have some good stuff, we have some drama, we have some hurts, we have some celebration, and it's all kind of in a natural balance, where we might have periods where things get really intense, but overall we all get some of all of it, right? So if you're an empath and you're in a job where you're really taking the brunt of all the heavy, intense, emotional, painful, suffering stuff in the world, and that's become your job, it's really just not going to work for you. You know, it's not going to work for you. You might be able to manage that for a while, but it's really important to get yourself into a space where you don't have to battle with all this heavy stuff every day. Because yes, you are good at it, but also you're good at it at a certain kind of intensity. You know, when it gets too much, your buckets overflow. And especially because when you're a sensitive person, you're able to do work really well with a lot of attention to detail. You're able to attend to people's emotional stuff with a lot of detail as well. But because of that, you get overwhelmed more quickly. And you have to honor that, because it's your strength, but it becomes your weakness when you're expecting yourself to do, like, you know, almost like factory belt work in dealing with very heavy and serious stuff with a lot of pain and suffering, because you're not going to be able to cope. So, you know, if you're in a situation like that, the first thing as an empath I want you to think about is finding a different kind of job. It could be with the same organization, just in a different area where there's a bit less pressure, there's a bit less drama. You know, it might be that you have to find a different workplace. If you're in a workplace where everything's just very negative and draining for you, then you might have to find a different place altogether. If the idea of that overwhelms you, get help with that. There are people who specialize in helping other people find their way with regards to work, okay? So you can get help with that. But it's important to get yourself into a place where you're not constantly overrun, where you don't have water dripping through the ceiling all day long. If you do and you reach out for help, you know, I can teach you some skills. But what's going to happen is you're not going to have the energy or the time to practice the skills, because I'm going to be showing you how the bucket works and you're going to be freaking out because you're like, oh my God, there's water coming through the roof. What do I do now? You know, you're going to be in a state of kind of panic and intense stress. Even if maybe it's not, doesn't feel that way, there's going to be part of you that just wants to get it done now. And you're not going to be in a state of mind where you want to learn long-term stuff. You don't want to learn long-term solutions because you want the quick fix right away. And for empath stuff, there really is no quick fix. You know, we, as empaths, we all get into the situation in our lives at some point, I think, where, you know, it gets too much and we have to deal with the fact that even though a lot of people have told us that being an empath is just doesn't exist, or it's weird, or energy is abstract, or it's all in our head, or all these things, we have to come to terms with the fact that it's real and that we have to start taking it really seriously and start acting from that place of, you know, this is really serious and I need to do something about that. Super important. And you know, one of the things you may be thinking is, yeah, but it's not convenient right now and I can't manage it right now. So what I want to kind of leave you with is this image of, you know, let's imagine a war broke out, you know, today, and you hear it on the news and you're like, oh, but that's not convenient because I was going to do this and I was going to do that and have that planned. Oh, well, I'll just put off dealing with it because, you know, it's really not something I can deal with right now. That's not something you're going to do, because every part of your being is going to recognize, oh my God, it's a war. That's not something I can avoid if I want to, and it's not something I can afford to try to, you know, to deny. You know, you have to deal with it. When it happens, you just have to deal with it. It's the same with these like an empath crisis. When you find out you're overwhelmed with all this stuff from other people, the environment where you're in, it's just like there's more water coming through the ceiling all the time. You feel like you're just kind of getting washed away by it all. You have to recognize this is a war going on. Okay, this is kind of energy war going on. And I don't mean an energy war in the sense of that you're being attacked necessarily, but I mean in the sense of seriousness. This is really serious stuff, and you have to take it seriously and treat it as such, and not to be like, oh yeah, I guess I could kind of deal with that later. But for the while being, I'll just kind of go into my I'm just being silly mode and this doesn't really exist and I just have to get over it mode, because it's really easy to go into that mental place, because we all have that. We've all developed it. You know, we've all developed that kind of way of thinking because that's how most people think. And most people can afford to think this way about energy stuff because they don't have to deal with it that intensely. But if you're an empath, you cannot avoid to treat it as just like another mental concept that you can just kind of figure out a solution for in a simple way and then have everything be the same. The energy reality that you're dealing with is real, and the first thing you need to do is get yourself into a space, you know, a work environment and living environment where you have at least some space and some energy to start learning long-term tools. Right, where you're not kind of expecting to get, you know, the golden key or the holy grail that's going to make everything work out, because there are some things, no matter how much training you get, no matter how skilled you get, it's still not going to work for you. So the first thing is to give yourself a shot, to give yourself a chance at having a successful life by taking yourself out of, you know, situations that are just impossible to deal with for an empath, and start looking for places that, you know, where you can use your empath skills, but not to the point where you get overwhelmed. And where when you get home, you have some time and energy left over for yourself to spend, you know, kind of leisurely on learning these skills, so that it doesn't feel like it's survival and you need to know them now, but it feels like you have some space and you can just practice with them. There's less pressure, so if you don't get it, you know, if you don't get it sorted right away, that's okay. You've got time. and you feel like, okay, if I manage this, if I learn these skills, if I really master them within 3 years, that's good. My life can handle that, you know. But if it feels like, no, I have to be a master at dealing with energy within a month, then you're in the wrong environment. You're in the wrong place. Because even if you were a master, even if you were as skilled as you'd like to be, you still would not be able to handle that space. So that's just some really important things to know. You know, first of all, really own the fact that if you're an empath, and you know, I expect that if you have heard people say you're an empath, that you're going to do a little bit of research to make sure that it's not just something that conveniently fits some kind of other stuff that's going on. And do a little bit of research, make sure you're really an empath. Then, you know, really own it. Really own the sense of, okay, I'm feeling all this energy around me and it's affecting me deeply, and I have to deal with that as part of my real life. This is really going on, and I have to take it seriously. And I cannot afford to put it aside and pretend it's just a mental thing that I'm making up. You know, that no longer works for me. I really have to take it seriously now. And then when you've, you know, figured out a way to get more space and time for yourself in your life, you know, and if you find that your job really is draining you and it's not working for you, then start, you know, prioritizing finding a better fitting job first. And when you've done that, that's when you can start to look into long-term solutions, you know, because I really believe for an empath, there is no short-term quick fix. There is stuff you can do, but it's not going to, you know, it's not going to help you if you're in a chronic situation that is depleting you. There are little tips and tricks that are helpful if you're like at a 3-day event, which is kind of overwhelming for you, sure. And then you leave the event, you come home and everything's nice and good again, okay, then you can use the little tips and tricks. But if you're in a long-term situation where, a situation where, you know, it's always draining and it's always overwhelming, then you know, the short-term stuff, the little band-aids, you know, the little tweaks, the little meditations, the light visualizations, all this stuff is not going to help you. You know, you really need to dive in and make space for getting to know this, basically this ability that you have to be, you know, aware of and work with energy. But it takes practice, and you really have to kind of look at it that way. It's like you have to go back to school, not a traditional school, but you have to find a way to make space to school yourself in this. And just like in school, you're not going to be able to apply everything that you learn right away in the way that you'd wish. You know, we all have to go through these phases where you're like, you're learning something in class, you're like, well, what's the use of this? And your teacher tells you, well, you know, as of yet, nothing, but if you keep practicing with this, then I can show you how it applies to certain jobs or certain situations, you know, and you have to kind of trust that. So that requires space. If you're going to school and you're like, okay, I just want to learn how to solve all the stuff in my life because I'm really close to, you know, just collapsing completely, and you're in a 3-year program, and you expect to get all the solutions in month 1, of course all the teachers are going to tell you, no, this is a 3-year program. It takes 3 years before you even get to starting to be able to apply this stuff to your life, okay? So with empath stuff, you can learn the basic skills in a few months, but then it takes a few years before you get super skilled at them and you can really apply them all the time in the moment when it's needed. Okay, so that's what you have to keep in mind. That's the kind of, you know, trajectory that you're dealing with. So I really wanted to communicate that because I think a lot of people are not talking about this, and I know there's a lot of people who are searching for that one little thing or that one skill or that one thing that's going to make everything work, and it really doesn't work like that. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I know it's probably not what you were hoping for, but I do want to kind of give you an honest sense of what to expect so you can kind of tweak your expectations of what it is like to be an empath and become a skilled empath and what is required, and give you some clarity about, you know, if you're in a really difficult situation now, what is the most important to deal with first.